So the problem is that, well, crypto is extremely risky, especially if you're
Yes.
looking at nano cap projects, micro cap projects outside of, that top 100 on coin market cap. It can be quite risky.
Hello, innovators, entrepreneurs, and risk takers. Welcome to another episode of Web3 with Sam Kamani podcast. I'm your host, Sam Kamani, and today on this podcast episode, I'm interviewing Adam from Burgess or Wolfcoin. And today he will be sharing with us on how he is intending to grow Wolfcoin as well as the utility that they are providing. And he has been advising projects and growing projects for quite some time in the Web3 space. So he will share from his experience on what he has seen the best founders do, as well as what do good teams do that mediocre teams don't, and what we can learn from the best teams working in this space. So let's hear his insights in Web3. And if you work in Web3 for a project or you're intending to build something in this space, then this podcast episode is for you. As always, nothing that we talk about in this podcast episode should be taken as investment advice. And please like, subscribe, and follow on whichever platform you are listening on. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. So, Adam, welcome to the show. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure to host you here. And so, looking forward to talking about all things Web3, crypto, blockchain. But first of all, how did you get involved in this space?
Oh, man. Well, let me first just say it's an absolute pleasure being here. Big fan of the podcast. So amazing work you're doing. And as I was saying before we hit record, I will probably end up seeing you at some conference in the crypto space. But how did I get into crypto in the first place? It really comes back to early 2021. Like a lot of people, first kind of getting into crypto. I actually got interested through a launch pad at the time. It was on BSC and kind of got my feet wet a little bit there, understood what it meant for a project to raise, a project to launch, and how ecosystems can get built out. From that, I kind of learned a little bit more, still very much more of a community member, having it be a side interest while still doing, the main work that I had been doing for a while as B2B and sales in general at Samsung. And with time, I just really saw how this space was just blossoming and how there was so much potential, how people could bring their latent skills into crypto. And that just absolutely hooked me. So flash forward to today, I now work as an advisor, which is my current role at Wolf. And I also run one of the largest Telegram live stream shows out there where I actually interview microcap projects and get to meet founders. And that's actually how I met Wolf. So it was an
Fantastic.
incredible journey. Yeah, I found them at a really low market cap. I love the vision, and flash forward now almost 7 months, and they have matured into an incredible product and evolved to now be in their rebrand, which is Burgess, which we'll talk about today. But that's a little bit about my history going back to 2021.
Fantastic. So, yeah, so let's get straight into what Wolf and Burgess are doing. For some of the audience who might not yet be familiar with the project, can you describe what problems does this project solve?
Yeah, so I think it's important to kind of first understand a bit of, you know, why the product needs to exist. So the problem is that, well, crypto is extremely risky, especially if you're
Yes.
looking at nano cap projects, micro cap projects outside of, that top 100 on coin market cap. It can be quite risky. So to be able to have a vetted list that is whitelist only, meaning every single token on a platform is looked at, the team is looked at, the contract
Yes.
is looked at, there's a big value in that, and there is not really a
Yes.
product like that just yet. That is where Burgess enters the scene, and effectively what we are is a blockchain-based decentralized application layer to be able to allow for crypto investors to invest safer, smarter, and easier. Another way to think of it as well is if you look at most of these dexes, such as Jupiter, Photon,
Yes.
others, you can get every token that's listed there that's live. With us, again, the focus is being able to have vetted coins that you
Yes.
know have been looked at. It's not a guarantee they're going to do 100Xs or anything, but you'll know that they're not going to be fly by night and disappear by tomorrow. This is done through a pack system, not just
Yeah.
because the token is called Wolf. It's token packs, which are pre-built, curated mixes. You can kind of almost think of it as like crypto ETFs, and you're going to be able to buy crypto combos from different blockchains. So not just Solana tokens, because we're on Solana currently, but also Ethereum tokens and others. And even to the point where in the future, we're even going to have tokenized stocks in those mixes as well. So that's a little bit about high level the problem and what we're looking to fix here.
Fantastic. Just thinking about it. So it's like, that's why some people go through centralized exchanges and stuff.
Mm.
But then that is also not very reliable because centralized exchanges, the idea might be that, okay, that they have vetted the project, but how they vet is by just charging the project money. It's like if you pay
That's the key
Max,
vetting for
yeah,
them.
that's
Yeah.
like if you pay Maxi 50K or Gate 600K or whatever, you can list your coin there and then you get a new influx of new buyers and stuff. However, that process is very flawed. So only the richest projects who have got the most VC funding to do that. But if you are a really high value project, you're building something really worthwhile, but you haven't reached that point of getting the funding yet. That's where I think you go through dexes and things like that. So there is a huge number of projects on dexes. So how would you define Wolf or Burgess as a project? Do you call it a dex?
It would more be like a vetted DeFi platform. So like a listing
Yes.
platform per se, also backed by our Wolf token. So I haven't mentioned just yet, this Wolf token is kind of the heartbeat of our entire ecosystem. This token, as I mentioned, lives on Solana. And it's going to be, and this is kind of interesting, it's going to be included in most of the token packs that we offer. So what that does is it inherently creates latent demand for our token because it's included in all of these vetted token packs. The fees that are generated from the swaps that will be done are going to be going back to the chart to buy back and burn. And
Yes.
when it comes back to overall visibility, we don't just want to be a listing platform because that's cool, right? But we also wanted to add a little bit more value there from an analytics standpoint. So we're looking to also add in P&L automation so you can set profit and loss, also rebalancing on those portfolios as well, automated rebalancing, manual rebalancing, and also just again, really aligning the point that the token has utility because so many times we find these really cool platforms and they have a token, but what does the token do? It might just be governance. And that's cool. Being able to vote on the future of a token is massive. If it's a top 100 token or something, that really matters. But when it's something, at a smaller level, I mean, we just barely hit 40 million. That's still
Yes.
relatively small. You want to be able to also have really tangible utility. And that's something as an advisor that I always mention to founders is whether you're at 1 million market cap, 20 million market cap, 100 million market cap, or much, much more, you want to make sure that the user knows very clearly what is the utility of the token? Is it long-term sustainable? And are you doing something different? Or are you just another DEX or just another, launch pad or platform like that? So that's
Yes.
kind of where the token sort of fits into the whole thing too.
Yeah, when I was earlier doing some research on Wolf, and you guys say that it's a fair launch token. What does it mean and how does it differ to other token launches and stuff?
Yeah, so a lot of folks listening into the pod probably are
Yes.
familiar with Pump Fun. Some people
Yes.
like it, some people hate it.
Yes.
But Pump Fun uses standard contract types, so you're not getting an exotic contract when
Mhm.
you launch. So the token security is there, but also you have the ability to get it out to the world and let people buy as they want. So there's no
Yes.
preset allocation for team. There's no preset allocation for centralized exchanges. What the team has done is buy their own supply, securing a stable floor, but also allowing people to also buy in. So instead of like most TG events, you have an allocation specifically for the team. This was not done that way, which I think is very unique when it comes to utility projects, because most utility projects, I mean, they're launching, they use a launch pad, they self-launch, whatever it might be, they're VC backed, and then they launch,
Yes.
and they're already giving themselves 50% plus allocation of total supply. And that's
Mhm.
fine if we're back in 2021 or 2018.
Mm.
We're in 2025. So people are looking for something that's a little bit more fair launch oriented, that they feel like they have a chance. I know people that have gotten in this token at 100K, which is incredible,
Yes.
you know? And guess what? They're our biggest advocates. They're folks that are actually really excited for platform launch in under 2 months now. So being able to give that opportunity, I think, is an inherent marketing endeavor, but it also
Yes.
just feels more fair and equitable, which is kind of the shift in dynamics we see in the crypto market.
Yep. Are there any sort of governance rights attached to this token?
Yes, there hasn't been any like firmly established proposals just yet, but it is something that we have on the roadmap to be able to really get the community feedback, especially when we're talking about the ability to rebalance, the ability to add in new tokens. Maybe the community doesn't like a token that was vetted for something that the team didn't catch. Totally possible. Or maybe they want to add a token to the vetted list that for whatever reason didn't get through the first time.
Yes.
The community should have that vote. And yes, very much so part of what we do here is governance as well with the token.
Fantastic. I have heard quite a bit of like CTOs or community takeovers and things like
Yeah.
that. Is it different to that?
Yeah, so you bring up an interesting thing. When we look at Pump Fund, it is almost synonymous with CTOs, right? Community
Yes.
takeovers, because very often what you'll see on the bonding curve is the original dev, usually not known, will bond the project and then dump it immediately. Or
Yes.
sometimes they get greedy and they don't even let it bond. They get halfway and then dump off. And then a new team comes in that believed in the usually a meme coin and CTOs it and then runs it from there. The problem is those can also fail because there's inherently not very much structure and not the same type of effort that you might have from an original creator. Although this launched on Pump Fund, this is the original team. This is the same 12 members on the team. The only
Yes.
recent additions are myself as advisor and a legal advisoryship that we have now as well. So that's what really caught my eye as well is they used a traditional high visibility launch pad Pump Fund, but they're not the usual CTO that you would normally see off Pump
Yes.
Fund.
Yep. The other thing that I was reading on your platform was a lot of things about like utility. Can you explain this utility? And also, does the project make any revenue?
Yes. So as far as revenue, we're looking at a very nominal fee structure, about 2% or so. Again,
Yes.
that could be a governance proposal that we put up to have it be a little bit more, a little bit less. We are using a Li-Fi as well as an aggregated swap layer. So that way
Yeah.
we have access to a ton of different blockchains and of course different pairs to be able to swap between. So that was a big recent ad that we struck for the platform. As far as utilities, it really would come down to investing in the packs. I
Yes.
think that's going to be the best way for people to actually get involved when the platform launches in 2 months is just getting started, getting some Solana and investing in your pack that looks interesting to you. We're going to have packs for different risk profiles as well. So if you want to go a little bit riskier, you can invest in that. If you want something that's a little bit safer, higher market cap, thicker liquidity, better liquidity to market cap ratio, you can invest in those as well. And again, I wanted to thread the needle back to the fact that the Wolf token is in effectively all of these. So that means
Yes.
as you're buying with Solana to buy these packs, you're also market buying, spot buying the Wolf token, which of course long term can help out the utility of the coin, but also the chart
Yes.
as well. So to be clear, at time of recording here, that is not live. So the market cap that's been attained is 100% based on people just being excited about the upcoming utility, seeing the team themselves, so many AMAs and outreach. So to see that we
Yes.
still have that platform ready to go in a few months, I think is going to be pretty awesome to be able to see that.
That's very cool. Can you explain in form of an example of how do
Mhm.
packs work?
The best way to think about it would be similar to like an index fund, right? You would invest, USD, in this case, Solana, and you're going to get your choice of whatever mix of tokens, or in that case, stocks that is
Yes.
within that portfolio. It's going
Yeah.
to be the exact same way. The only thing different is going to be the vetting layer, instead of it being done by, an institution or otherwise with very, very large market cap entities. We're dealing with still lower market cap projects. So the potential for gains could, of course, be higher, but we'll have some that are at a much higher market cap as well for a little bit more stable growth. So it's really as easy as that. I think the best analogy is thinking about it from an index fund perspective. Of course, we hope ours are going to be a little bit bigger moving than that, but that's the easiest way to kind of understand it. Is you're going to be using Solana to invest in these. Holding the token will get you proceeds from the swap fees to actually get into these packs. And then the token is also going to be included in most of those packs as well.
Understood, completely understood. And you know how on the index funds and stuff, not only have like S&P 500, you can
Yep.
buy, commodities, or you could buy like tech stocks, or you could choose your niche or your genre, that what you want, and you could buy a basket of those things, or quantum computing, or whatever you're bullish on. This is very similar to vaults, how vaults work in DeFi in some projects.
It would be a little different because it's going to be, to my understanding, right, with this, when it launches, it's going to be self-hosted and it'll be actualized instantly. So when you actually place a bid with Solana, it's instantly spot buying those tokens within that pool.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah,
Yes.
a little different, but you do bring up a good point, kind of somewhat in the vicinity, where are also going to have staking mechanisms as well. So I think
Yes.
it's very important if you have a utility coin, especially, something that is much more like long-term oriented, you want to be able to give additional rewards as well. So we are going to look to have staking mechanisms where you can earn not only the regular rewards that would be there, but also additional rewards simply by staking as well. So we're
Yeah.
looking to introduce those post-platform as well.
You have a lot of experience on the growth side of things, because there are a lot of builders and founders who listen to this. I have few
Yeah.
questions around that as well.
No, let's do.
What do you feel like has contributed the most to the growth of Wolf?
I mean, putting it blunt, I would say the capital behind it. The backing behind Wolf is honestly quite incredible. And here's the funny thing is, like, when we're talking about micro cap projects, like when I saw this at 100K, everyone says their token has so much backing and it has big supporters behind it, big capital behind it. And then you just see things continue to get actualized the way that they promised. Hey, we're going to onboard a big marketing entity, and they actually onboard Coinbound last week. Hey, we're going to be doing strategic buybacks. You can see it on the chart. Like, I love to see that the promises that they're making of significant backing, financial backing, is actually shown on the chart. It's actually shown on their product. And I would say that was probably what surprised me the most, was just the level of financial backing that they've had, and also the interest in continuing to grow in that way. Something that I've seen with a lot of my clients, and what I always advise, is you should always be raising, right? You should always be raising. If you have a product that is really just changing the game, especially
Yes.
when you actually have it out there and you're building your user base and you're getting good feedback back, there's always going to be interested parties in being able to bring in more capital. You don't want to bring in more capital than you need, right? It could be a liability, but if you're going to put it to good use, you should always be thinking to raise. And they're in a comfortable place right now, but I know once this platform launches in 2 months, if they want to expand and go even larger scale, then they totally could, because they'll have a product to show. And just one more thing for the builders out there, I really value that, because I'm not a dev myself at all, but I like to think from the builder's perspective. And something that really blew me away was I had some time, actually almost an entire month, spending with a pretty big RWA blockchain, and they were talking to me as they were introducing me and my client to some VCs that they had connects with. They said, the way I'm going to introduce you is going to be, here's the product, and they want to show you something cool. So we didn't
Okay.
go into those early VC conversations saying, here's my pitch, please invest in me. Instead, it's bringing down the barriers and saying,
Yeah.
here's something really cool that we have. What is your feedback? And how can we make this better? And then at the end saying, well, thank you so much. Would you be comfortable if we set up another call when we're ready to start raising? And let me
Yes.
tell you, for the builders out there that are listening, that strategy was so dang useful. Like the follow-ups we had was absolutely incredible. And I can't take credit for that. I was given that tip and it worked beautifully. So that is going to be something that I probably implement with Wolf if they need to raise some more capital to actually bring the product there, show it off, get that feedback, and then return from a fundraise perspective if needed.
Yes, it's like that is so true. You know how in even in the Web2 world, they used to say that if you ask for money, you'll get advice, and if you ask for advice, you'll get money.
It's exactly that.
Because no one likes someone needy and pestering them all
No,
the time, give me money. People run away from that. So they
yeah,
immediately people put up walls and they don't pay attention to what the founder is saying because they have put up a big barrier of any investor that hey, this founder or this team is just gonna ask me for money. So they are continuously
exactly.
thinking for negative things to say so they don't have to say yes. Whereas when you are genuinely asking for advice and you might also learn something.
Every
Well,
single
invest.
call.
Yes. So then you don't have those walls because I have done angel investing as well. And I'm the same as I don't have that, that barrier or that mental barrier that hey, this guy is just gonna ask me for money. That's why he's reaching out. Whereas I pay a lot more attention to what the project is doing, what they're gonna build, how this is gonna be used, what's the future potential of it, or all those type of things. Talking about future potential, as your team at Wolf continues to
Mhm.
build this platform and this whole project and ecosystem of packs and everything, what key challenges do you think they will face?
Oh man, I would say, well, first of all, the biggest challenge was getting the swaps integrated. So having live as an option was a godsend. That really, really helped us recently. That was a roadblock that we just recently cleared. Long term, though, what I think it is going to be is just continual person by person, group by group trust building to get them to want to invest in these packs. Because I've seen time and time again, I know you have as well, everyone in the audience listening in, situations where things looked really good. They sounded really good, and they might have been for a few months. But then you check back and you're like, oh my God, what happened? What is this? So to be able to build that long-term trust, it's not something that instantly switches. It does take a lot of time and it should take a lot of time. But I think that is going to be a continual issue and a continual hurdle, I should say, not an issue, a continual hurdle that can only be overcome with people actually trying it. So I think that's going to be how we overcome that trust building with trying out something new, especially if it's self-hosted, right? This isn't hosted by a third party. It's 100% hosted by us integrating in some of those leading partners, right? Li-Fi. We also use Fireblocks for our security layer as well. But still, connecting your wallet to a DApp that you've never used before, it requires a lot of trust. It should require a lot of trust. And that is exactly what we're looking to build every single day. Now, how do you win in that endeavor? I mean, it's stuff like this. It's one-on-one conversations. It's hearing the 12 team members on spaces together, building out the products. It's going into the Telegram and actually meeting the team and getting to see what's being built. It's getting, your voice heard through community engagement and actually eventually having the DAO system implemented. But it's going to be a continual hurdle to overcome is building that trust layer for sure.
Fantastic. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And talking about building for future, what's on your guys' roadmap over the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah. So really crypto's month by month, as we know. A month feels like a year.
Yes,
Sometimes not, but
it
usually
does.
yes. So it's the only space that really feels like that too. It's really wild. But
Yeah.
so beyond packs, which are going to be here in about 2 months, as mentioned, we also want to tokenize stocks, commodities, indices as well.
Yes.
So that's going to be coming in a little bit longer time frame. We also, and we haven't covered this yet, we want to integrate automated tax reporting and also having the ability to audit projects. And this is very interesting. With the audit project layer, we're building that into the vetting process for adding a token into our packs. So for example, if a token launches, it's I don't know, a month in, they've reached, let's say, $5 million market cap, and they look good. Well, we're going to vet them. What does that mean? Well, that's exactly what the auditing entails. We're going to audit their contract, make sure the contract doesn't have any like big loopholes, right? As best
Yes.
as we can tell. Also, and here's what no one really does, which we're really excited for, and we've already trialed it in some of our cases, is team auditing. Now, this is different. because this can't be quantified by anything on the blockchain, at least not directly, can in supporting. We want to see what projects teams have worked on. We want to see what their habits are as a team. Do they dump tokens? What is their backing? Do they live up to their promises? This takes multiple weeks at times, and that's why we're slowly and methodically going to be adding tokens to this system. As we expand the team, we can probably move a little faster, but we want to make sure that we're not speeding through the process of auditing. Now, if a project passes that vetting process, we actually issue them an audit certificate, which is embedded marketing for them, and of course, embedded marketing for us as an auditing company now. And that is something we really want to add to the layer. Right now, we're doing it just as part of the process, but we want it to be something that people come to us for and then want to be included in the pack versus being in the pack and getting that as part of the process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. In talking about teams, you have worked with so many teams over the years. What do you feel like that the winning teams in Web3 do?
Oh man, some good questions here. I'm not surprised. That is a bit of a tough one because I've covered everything from NFT launches, meme coins, utility coins, meme coin
Yes.
hybrids. I would say the unifying point, and what I've seen in my live stream as well, is teams that have nothing to hide and are willing to show the data behind that. So what that
Yes.
means is nothing to hide. Tell me what the launch structure was like. Let me know if you guys have supply control or not. Let me know this product that you're mentioning. Do you have something that you're able to show, or can you give me a definitive timeline of when this will be launched? Things like this. If you can lead with trust, if you can lead with transparency, some incredible things will happen. It's not a guarantee, but that is probably my biggest tip for any team out there is do not be afraid to put everything out there. Even if your product isn't 100% ready, even as an MVP, that would be something I would highly suggest. And that's also what I've advised of the Wolf team. I said, hey guys, before the 2 month mark is done, let us get a demo out there. Let's get that MVP. Let's post it out to
Yes.
socials because watch what's going to happen. So I would say that is the first one. And then the second one too is, and this sounds very obvious because it kind of is, stay active. In crypto, things are moving at lightning speed. We just talked about it, right? So if you're not communicating at the same speed, you're failing as a project. You're failing. It doesn't matter if you're in pre-seed. It doesn't matter if you're post-launch. You have to be consistent. You have to stay on top of the meta that you're in, stay on top of developments that you're in, because people want to see that you're current with things going on, because
Mm.
then that leads into the marketing potential of the token, the speed and FOMO of the token. It all ties together
Yes.
cohesively like that. So I would say those 2 points probably are the biggest indicators that I've seen.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Yep. Now, looking at future, my final question is around, what is your ask? Are you guys looking at, I don't know, raising from VCs or hiring or anything else? Feel free to share.
Yeah, my call to action, it depends on when you're listening to this. You're probably going to be listening to this right after it gets published. So you're finding this early. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but it is early. The product hasn't launched yet. So if you're hearing this right now, I encourage you to go to coin.burgess, BYRRGIS.app. You'll find the new rebrand for Wolf into Burgess with the focus on the pack system, auditing system, and more. I encourage you guys to check out the Telegram. Don't buy anything yet. And I really always tell people that for anything that is a utility product, feel out the product first, feel out the
Yes.
team, feel out the community, and see if it's something that makes sense to you as a product for long-term viability. If you're hearing this 2 months from now, the first thing I would say is set up a new wallet and try your hand at our packs. Invest a little
Yes.
bit of Solana, give it a shot. Does it work? Does it seem to mesh with overall investment that makes sense to you? And then from there, consider picking up a little bit of Wolf token. But I would say first, get an understanding of the product from this high level here, jump into the Telegram especially, and we'd love to have you there.
Fantastic. What I'll do is I'll put all the links to everything that you guys are doing in the
Thank you.
show notes, description, or comments on 15 plus different platforms that it will go on. So people can find out on what you guys are doing, how the packs work, and, give it a try and play around with the platform. One of the things would like to comment on what you were mentioning about what the teams should do, who are launching projects and who are doing things in Web3. But I think it's not only limited to Web3. It's actually that concept comes from the Web2 world, and it's like called the building in public, where you have that, you give that transparency to the whole world, the good and the bad and the ugly, everything. Because if you're a founder, things are likely to go wrong, or you are likely to face challenges. It's never a case where you build a startup and there was no challenge. It just doesn't happen. So share all those, and you never know who's reading, who might be able to help you. And it just builds so much more trust when you share. Like this week, I made $5. Doesn't matter. Like $5 as our MRR, and the next week it's like $7, whatever. It could be as small, could be as big, doesn't matter. If you lose a contract, talk about it, because there might be someone else reading there who would be able to jump in and take their place and stuff. So that's very important and vital for anyone to do.
I wanted to jump in there just really quick. You will stand out in crypto as a founder, even as a community member also, but especially as a founder, if you take the stance of humility, because
Yes.
so much in the crypto world is built on ego. There's a whole other conversation, but it's built on ego. I have the best product. I know how to build it. I don't have anything to learn. You're really going to limit yourself with that mindset. And I've seen that from founders. Some founders I've had to completely drop contracts with because I'm like, you guys aren't open to new ideas or hearing from experience. Maybe this isn't the best fit, right? So I would also say, just as you mentioned, be open-minded, be honest with your failures. Your community is going to respect you much more. Those investors that are on the fence are going to see you as more human because you are, right? And it's overall just going to be a big win for you. So don't be afraid to just show the true colors of what's going on. The product always wins in the end. The product always wins. The team's true intentions always show through. So yeah, I just had to add that little piece at the end there.
Oh, that's fantastic. And on that note, thank you so much, Adam. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. And we can talk for another half an hour or 1 hour. That could be anything. But thanks once again so much for it. Let's do this again in 6 months to a year and see where Wolf is at, how packs have evolved by then, and what everything is going on in our ecosystem.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam. Appreciate you.
Cheers. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening or watching this episode of the Web3 with Sam Kamani podcast. By now, you know the drill. Leave a comment or share this episode with a friend and leave a review. I would love to hear from you. So that's why my DMs are open. Reach out to me, especially if you are a founder building a product in Web3. Then I would love to hear from you. What are your challenges? Is there anything that I can help you or my community can help you with? Thank you once again and wish you best of luck in building your startup or your project.